Hey, this is Joe Bakhmutsky. I'm the creator of Simplified Cancer. And it's weird that sometimes in your life, people just go missing at the time when you really need them the most. That's what happened to me during my cancer treatment. When I think about it now, 9 weeks doesn't seem like such a long time. But back then, a lifetime of things happened. I was in hospital and I remember being scared because you feel like crap and you have no idea how things are going to turn out. And frankly, I felt a little lonely because you're there by yourself, and I was kind of expecting my friends to show up and visit me in the hospital and to call me and text me. So I was trying to figure out why it was happening. And then eventually I thought, well, hey, it's the hospital, right? There's lots of medical equipment. They must be doing something to block out the signal. That makes sense, right? So one night when I was, I finished all of my infusions and I went for my daily walk around the ward. It wasn't so much a walk, it was like a stumble. I was going there like a zombie. And eventually I found this phone, right? And I decided to finally put my theory to the test. And I called my mobile. I'm just fully expecting it to go to voicemail. And so yeah, I called my mobile number, and I just remember to this day the moment when my phone rang, and I realized that nobody's coming. And that was a difficult moment for me because it hurt me. And I wanted to understand why. Why was it happening? And since then, I've spoken to what by now is hundreds of people, both online, on online communities about cancer, on Reddit, also people I met face to face, like in a hospital, and also, of course, through my Simplify Cancer podcast. So I wanted to understand if this happened to other people. And it turned out that this is incredibly common. This happens to pretty much everyone who goes through cancer. And I spoke to people with all sorts of cancers, from different stages, different treatments, men, women, younger people, older folks. Everyone went through the same situation. Everyone had a person or people who they expected to show up in their life and support them, but they kind of went missing during treatment. So I wanted to really understand why that happened. I wanted to find the right explanations for it. And I collected a huge number of reasons. And some of those things were not so much reasons, but maybe things that we tell ourselves to make it less painful. But in any case, there were three strong themes, three key reasons that kept coming through over and over again. And I'm gonna share those three reasons with you right now. So reason number one is that people are afraid of death and dying. Now that's nothing new. That's not a huge revelation. But at the same time, people do find it incredibly uncomfortable to think about what happens if they die. Like what happens to their family, to their life, the legacy things they're leaving behind. It's a pretty uncomfortable feeling. And when you have to deal with cancer, but maybe you've got cancer or it's someone you love, you are confronted with it. You have no other choice. You have to deal with it. But that's not really the case for many people in your life, who could be your friends or co-workers or maybe your extended family. They don't really have to deal with it. And sometimes it's easier to turn away from that. It's painful, but it's true. So that's reason number one. The second reason is that people don't want to look stupid or insensitive. Because when you think about it, when you get cancer, people around you, there's no real instruction manual on what to say or do to someone with cancer. And I'm going to change that, by the way, I promise you. But in the meantime, there's really no right thing to say or do. And people are afraid to offend you. People are afraid of making you feel worse because they don't know what to say. And so they end up doing the worst thing possible, which is nothing at all, right? That's not great. And that's what happens all the time. And the third reason is, and this is probably the most difficult one, or at least for me, is they have no room for you in their life. This is, for me, has been the most difficult one to accept and to deal with, because what happens in life, I believe, is that, when you're close with people, sometimes in life, we all get busy, things change, and we start to drift away from each other. We start to grow distant, we start to have less of those things in common. And because it happens over a period of time, it can be really hard to notice. It can be really hard to pick up on. So sometimes you may call someone, a friend, a close friend, when in reality, maybe you've grown distant over time. And the same thing may apply if it's, your extended family or anything else. And that's difficult to come to terms with, because this is personal, right? If those other things are kind of about them, right? If someone has issues about mortality, or, if they don't want to look silly or stupid or insensitive, it's kind of on them, right? But this is about you. So it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to deal with, and sometimes those things in life are obscured by things that are happening, and it takes a major crisis like cancer that crash lands into your life to really bring it to life, to really make you see it for what it is. That's tough to deal with, but that's real, And if there is one thing that I actually regret not doing, is not spelling out people exactly what I want them to do and how I expect them to support you, right? Because when you think about it, when we're talking about people who are afraid of death and dying, well, there really isn't much you can do about that. And if you are no longer relevant in someone's life, again, well, there's nothing that you can really do. But when we're talking about people who want to support you, who want to be there for you, but they don't know how, I believe we need to guide them. So if I had to do it all over again, I would send an email and I would just really lay it out like it is. I would say, look, here's what's happening. Here is what treatment might look like. And I would really love you to come and visit me at the hospital. I would really come, just call me. I would, even if you don't know what to say, just say whatever you want. I'd love to hear from you. And also, here is a list of practical things that I need help with. So I would put down things like, drive me to and from the hospital, do groceries, help out with babysitting. And I would just say, just feel free to hit reply and let me know what you're going to volunteer for. People who want to be there for you, people who truly care about you, they are going to be grateful because you've just made it easy for them to support you. You've just made it easy for them to support you on your terms. And it also is easy to weed out people without the pretenders. People who say, well, let me know if I can help, but they really have no intention of helping you at all. So I really believe that it can serve you. So look, it's been great for me to get this off my chest. I hope it's been helpful for you as well. So I'd love to hear from you how things are in your life, and how you're doing with people in your life, whether they've been supporting you. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So send me an email. My email is joe@simplifycancer.com. That's JOE@simplifycancer.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.